you're a newsmaker, and you're somebody in the NFL who can also, help me out with Pete here. I think I pissed him off a little bit when he was on my show. In the summer. I don't know. I don't think. Look,
I don't know if you can pit.
I know that. You know what? How about this then? How about this one?
Down a little bit.
Okay, I might have rubbed him the wrong way a couple times, where I brought up Russell. Okay. I brought up Russell Wilson to him and what Russell was saying back in the spring, and he called it old news. He called it old news, and I don't think he really wanted me to bring it up or talk because it was old news. And I said, yeah, but we haven't spoken since then. And then he allowed the answer. So I just want to make sure Pete and I are fine, because there was another time I kind of I think I might have rubbed him the wrong way also, which I'll get to.
Well, he didn't say anything to me about it,
okay.
So I think you're okay. If
Thank goodness on that.
He would definitely come to my office and discuss it.
I'm sure that's at the top of his list.
We know that.
What's going on?
No, I think you did. No,
all right. So
all I would say about that, Rich, is that everything's great now. I mean, Russ is a guy that look. Passionate people say passionate things, right? And so at the end of the season, the thing that I told people, behind closed doors is, Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson during a season don't have the ability to sit back and evaluate, the big picture like the rest of us do. And so, it's our job, it's my job in particular to be in our staff to be looking at what's coming, what's happening in the future. So what happens is, when you lose a game like we lost to the Rams, all of a sudden, these guys have been embedded every single week on a schedule for how many weeks, throughout a season, and all of a sudden it's like they kind of come up from, they're just like waking up, right? They're like, wow, what do we do now to fix the team? How do we get better? And so, Russ is a extremely hard worker, extremely passionate guy. He wants to win the world championship every single year like we do, and we approach our jobs, like I said, every day. Like, we want to be a consistent championship caliber football team for our fans, because we feel like if we're not doing the things to improve our team, if you don't give your fans hope, look, I grew up in Green Bay, and so like there was many times I didn't see a winning team until I was like 19, 20 years old, I think. So, I was always wanted the Packers, like whoever was working over there, to have this attitude, like, hey, what are we doing every single day to get better, and how are we going to improve? And I think that's what you see at the end of every season. It's not just Russell or Pete. It's every organization. It's personnel staff has to kind of incorporate with the coaches, where you're going. And our philosophy is that we've done it the same way for, like you said, 12 years now, where, how are we going to be a competitive or how are we going to be a consistent championship caliber football team every single year where your fans are excited? And so that's what drives it, and I think that's what you saw. Now, was there a huge media blitz? Sure. And, the best thing you can do, the guys that taught me well, are just to sit back and listen and watch, and that's what we did.
Well, I mean, part of the narrative, John Schneider, GM and executive vice president of the Seattle Seahawks, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Part of the narrative, John, was also Russ sitting there at the Super Bowl where he had just won the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, and well-deserved, watching Tom Brady win it all. And in your old stomping grounds in Green Bay, the narrative is, again, a quarterback who wants things a certain way and believes that his say should be louder in the room than it is perceived to the player. That was the general sense of things. You're a general manager. How do you view the viewpoint of your star quarterback in terms of, you doing your job and getting the roster as potentially the quarterback?
Well, much like everybody else's. I mean, we're a wide open organization. I mean, really, we always talk about having no walls. We talked about that. I've worked with organizations where, the personnel guys aren't allowed to talk to the scouts, and the personnel staff are not allowed to talk to the coaches on a daily basis, or, some teams don't let their scouts go to practice, or, that's not us. We all work together. We have a great staff downstairs with our player development people and equipment and trainers and our sports science staff. We just had a really cool meeting yesterday where everybody's talking about what can we do to help everybody that's here, improve. And so with that, I would say, you're definitely going to be listening and taking everybody's opinions. And I look at it very much like, when we're preparing for the draft and we go from having, call it 30 people in the room to 15 as we get closer to the draft to 10, and then a couple nights before the draft, like 2 nights before the draft, it's just Pete and I, and then the night before the draft, it's just myself. So you're constantly listening, studying, getting everybody's opinions, and players, guys especially that are so passionate about studying, like a Bobby Wagner and a Russell Wilson, and,
right.
and they watch so much film, they're in the mix. They can tell you things that other people can't necessarily tell you. That's why I like having former players on our staff as well, because they can tell you certain things that we may not see or just where our blind spots are.
Another moment, John Schneider.
That doesn't mean you're always gonna agree, right?
Right.
So, you listen, you communicate, and you make, at the end of the day, people have to make decisions, and my job is to listen and work with Pete and keep steering this ship the way we have.
Another moment, John Schneider, where I do believe Pete bristled when I brought up his. I went there. I brought up his age. Because he is, as Jim Brockmeyer called, the world's oldest teenager. Is that what he called him? The world's oldest teenager.
Now that Dick Clark is no longer with us.
Now that Dick Clark's no longer with us. That's what Jim Brockmeyer, the famed announcer, said. I brought that up to him and how much longer he wants to do it, and then I immediately regretted it because I heard it in his voice. Like, what are you trying to do, Rich? Is what he said. I think that's what he said. What can you tell me about Pete's long-term future?
About working with him every day? Yeah, it's been the same. So he's 20 years older than me, and there are many days where I feel like I'm 20 years older than him.
Right.
He is just a ball of energy. His brain is going 1,000 miles an hour. Enthusiastic, positive. If you walk in, he calls my office the dentist office because I'll have like smooth jazz on, watercolors, trying to chill out and study and listen to people, try to get the stress off, right?
Dentist office.
You go in his office, you go in his office, and it's like you got music playing, you got 3 different TVs going. He's studying film, and he's trying to talk to you at the same time, and I always have to say, hey, can we just mute this or turn this down, because I can't. My brain does not work like yours.
Right.
But no, he's great, man. He just keeps going and going and going, and you wouldn't know it. Is like my point. Like, he's out there throwing the football. He's got a bad shoulder. He's throwing the ball. Like, I'm like, what are you doing, man? He's just awesome.
So he's going to be the coach there for a long time, John. Right? Like,
I would think. Yeah. I have no reason not to think he wouldn't be.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.